The ending of Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, has viewers on edge. With only 2 episodes left, the ride is about to get wild, questions still unanswered, plots left hanging, and JiYoung's return to her own time looming over everything. Will there even be enough time for a proper ending? This drama has taken the K-drama world by storm. Who could resist a time travel romance, a high-stakes cooking competition, palace politics dripping with betrayal, and a tyrant king who finds love and peace in his chef from the future? Stir them together, and you get a recipe audiences couldn't stop devouring. Now, with odds stacked against the star-crossed lovers, fans are keeping their fingers crossed for a happy ending. And the numbers don't lie. Bon Appetit, Your Majesty just hit its highest ratings yet, climbing to 15.8% nationwide. Lim Yoon holds strong at number 1 in the most buzzworthy drama cast rankings, while Chae remains in the top 3. But here's the real question: with the end near, and even time itself closing in on the lovebugs, how will JiYoung and the king's story wrap up? Will love triumph, or will fate tear them apart forever? Predictions hint at both heartbreak and happiness. Stay tuned, because in this video I'll break down everything: answers to your burning questions, juicy behind-the-scenes secrets, hidden details you might have missed, and a sneak peek at what's next for our time-traveling chef and her reformed ruthless king. But beware, spoilers ahead. Seeing as JiYoung didn't receive a flower with his team, this could only mean that he might also unite with JiYoung in the future. Maybe they will have another competition in the future. He had told her till next time, when last they met. Meanwhile, the last episode's ending left viewers hopeful and hungry for more. JiYoung and the king finally confirmed their feelings with a kiss, sealed with her condition that he never return to his tyrannical ways. But the preview for the next episode. It has fans more anxious than ever, with the grand finale inching closer and the stakes higher than ever. As I mentioned earlier, the viewers could look forward to both heartbreak and happiness. As we know, JiYoung is in a time loop and currently not in her time. She's a time anomaly that fate will have to fix. Although she's confirmed her feelings for Hyun, accepted his promise ring, and even promised to remain in his time with him, fate has to do its job. This is where the heartbreak comes in. But before we dive more into it, a little tidbit about JiYoung. The character JiYoung mirrors a real historical figure, Seo Jang-jium, Korea's first female physician. Promoted by King Yeongjong himself, after starting as a cook. This ties perfectly to her learning under JiYoung, whom the prince had known to be a good cook. Think about it, JiYoung's meals saved JiYoung during a seizure. JiYoung, her student, would naturally study food as medicine, later rising to history's records. Another beautiful ripple effect of JiYoung's journey. Meanwhile, tension in the palace is at its peak, with Mok-ju and Prince Jasan stoking its flames behind closed doors. Everything has been boiling down to this moment. Before JiYoung, the king was truly a tyrant, and had already carried out a purge in the 4th year of his reign. If you recall, the Queen Dowager and her brother made mention of this in the last episode. It was called the Muin Literati Purge. At the beginning of the series, he also used false pretenses to exile the governor and his family. All these made it easy for Prince Jasan to influence some of his ministers. Now, the issue with his half-brother, Prince JiYoung, has stoked the flames to the surface, with Prince Jasan planning to turn it into a bright red furnace in the next episode. Obviously, the whole situation will be the catalyst that will yank JiYoung from the king's arms, taking her back to her time. And here's the twist: Prince Jae is a fictional character. He never existed in King Yeon Sangun's real history. So while the ministers may succeed in ousting the king, Jae won't claim the throne. History tells us his half-brother, Prince JiYoung, became King Yeongjong. South Koreans care deeply about historical accuracy, so the production team will likely follow the record. King Yeon Sangun dies in exile. Which means JiYoung's heartbreak is inevitable. For the historical record to remain the same means either that Prince Jae had used someone else to carry out the coup, framing the king, or the jester, who recently learned that Mok-ju was behind his sister's death, had carried out the coup, while the king is thought to have done so. The king had promised JiYoung not to become a tyrant, and although learning that his grandmother, whom he's come to respect, was behind his mother's death, is bound to rouse him to fury, he's bound to exercise control, because of his promise to JiYoung. Learning of the unchanged history, is bound to break JiYoung, who had witnessed the change in the king. Meanwhile, you might wonder why JiYoung never gave Lee a direct warning about the looming unrest. In her memory of history, the coup following his mother's death is what led to his downfall. That's why, in the preview, she makes him promise not to return to tyranny. What's more, it seems like their names are a little different from what was written in history. If you recall, when he introduced himself, she didn't recognize the name, and went on about King Yeon Sangun, the tyrant. Therefore, even Prince Jae is alien to her, which is why she didn't recognize the name, and had to ask Cook Bong-sik about the prince. Meanwhile, by now, most viewers already suspect that the king's journal, Manganrock, will be the key to taking her back to her time. But the question is, was the king the original author, or did he just rewrite Manganrock? Are JiYoung and Lee rewriting the stars, or writing them? That is, were they past ill-fated lovers, who found their way back to each other, or are they unwittingly in the process of writing Manganrock? As we know, JiYoung was sent back in time, when she read the longing words, at the back of Manganrock. The writer had desperately asked his dearest, to come back to him, were she to read the book someday. With how JiYoung time slipped after reading this, one can easily assume that it was written for her, as the writer believed that his dearest was in the future. And the king revealed his knowledge of her being from the future, in the last episode, before giving her the ring. However, it gets tricky. The book, Manganrock, had disappeared, after the king also named his journal Manganrock. This could mean that they are either rewriting history, that is, the lover's story, or the book finally found its owner. What's more, what are the chances that the king would gift JiYoung with the same charm she'd seen in the book? And what are the odds that the king is also writing a recipe journal, which is what Manganrock was? This means that, if they were past ill-fated lovers, they could be making the same mistake that had ended up separating them. If not, they could be writing their own Manganrock, with a better outcome. Expect her to vanish when the palace unrest peaks, taking the king's heart with her. Remember, she first time slipped in a plane restroom during turbulence. The future storyline might resume right there, her found unconscious, perhaps in a coma. Maybe, as the plane experienced turbulence, she had hit her head and collapsed into a coma, and was found by the staff. And who would believe her story about living in the Joseon era? Meanwhile, the happy ending will be from the king, finding her in the future. This means a sad ending in the Joseon era, but a happy one in the present. It could be an open ending, with them staring at each other. In all, this has been an enjoyable watch. Hopefully, we'll get more than an open ending. And now, as promised, here are some behind the scenes, to keep you entertained until next time. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this drama so far? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell for all things wonderfully K-drama. Thanks for watching, bye.